All right, jumping on here, doing something a little bit different than what we normally do on the History Underground. So, no music, no drone shots, no fancy camera shots or anything like that. Just kind of setting up the camera and yapping a little bit, if I may. And I want to talk a little bit about history and humility. So this kind of stems from comments that I've had over the years, but some that are a little bit more fresh. So a few days ago, released a video from Bryce's Crossroads, talking about the battle that took place in June of 1864 between Nathan Bedford Forrest's Confederate cavalry and Union forces under Sam Sturgis. And I had a few comments in there. People seem to generally enjoy the video and learn some new things, which I always appreciate and enjoy hearing. But there were some people who were like, "Oh man, at least it's not Gettysburg." And these are comments that I've had before, where people talk about how tired they are of hearing about Gettysburg. There are other people who can't get enough of Gettysburg, and I hear the same thing with Band of Brothers and things like that. And it got me to thinking a little bit, because all of us are at different places as far as where we are with our understanding with different historic topics. And one thing that you have to realize is that for the Civil War, the gateway into Civil War history for most people is through the Battle of Gettysburg. And the gateway into World War II history for a lot of people is either Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers. So on this channel, my chief objective is for people to learn history and to bring in new people and have people learning together and kind of getting into different historic topics. I think if you look at the channel, you'd probably agree that we cover a broad range of topics. So we've been to the Pacific, talking about World War II. We've been to the Western Front, talking about World War I. We've been to Hadrian's Wall. We've been to Japan. We hit some civil rights stuff. Okay, we had a Martin Luther King video here recently. So we hit a lot of different things. But every once in a while, I'll kick out something on Gettysburg, and or something on Easy Company and Band of Brothers. And I just kind of wanted to explain myself. What I'm trying to do there is kind of open up that gateway for people who may not have seen some of the stuff before. Obviously, I have a pretty extensive background in education. And one of the things that I have learned as an educator is that you really have to humble yourself in order to meet people where they are. Okay, not everybody knows as much as you do about a certain topic. So take like Gary Edelman with American Battlefield Trust, or Tim Smith, the Adams County Historical Society. Those two men know more about the Battle of Gettysburg, I would contend, than any other living human being. All right, if you look at the licensed battlefield guides, okay, they know tons about the Battle of Gettysburg. How many times has Gary Edelman stood up on Little Round Top and told the story of the 20th Maine? Hundreds upon hundreds of times, I'm guessing. All right, and every year, American Battlefield Trust goes back to Gettysburg on the anniversary, and they tell all of these different stories. Okay, and they do that because, hey, Gettysburg is a gateway, and that is going to bring more people in. And more people learn about Gettysburg, well, then they're going to get interested in other Civil War topics. So if you ever see, something on this channel and it seems like it's repetitive or it's something that everybody talks about, well, maybe it's something that you know a lot about, but not somebody else. Just this morning, I was listening to a podcast called Not So Quiet on the Western Front. It's a World War I podcast. And in the episode, one of the hosts, I can't remember which one it was, they were talking about an individual, and he said, now, most people know the story of this individual, but here we're going to retell it anyway. And it was somebody that I'd never heard of. So it was common to them and maybe common to other people, but not so much to me. And I learned some new things. Also, not only do you have to be humble in order to bring new people in and kind of meet them where they are, uh, guess what? Even if it's a topic that you know a whole lot about, there's a decent chance that there's still new things to learn. So, for example, I've spent a lot of time at Gettysburg. All right, I've spent a lot of time studying that battle. I've made tons of videos about it. Um, and yet I'm still learning new things. The channel Project Past just released a video on, I think it was the 17th Connecticut, one of the Connecticut regiments, at the wheat field. The wheat field is my favorite part of the Gettysburg battlefield. I always go there anytime I visit. And I've spent a lot of time studying it. And guess what? I watched that video, even though I've made a lot of Gettysburg videos and have spent a ton of time there. I still watched it and still found myself enjoying it and learning new things that I didn't know before. So anyway, when you're looking at this whole history landscape and all the different podcasts and YouTube channels and things like that, consider approaching it with a certain degree of humility, because maybe there are some things that you know that somebody else doesn't. If you've been studying a particular topic for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, well, there was a certain point in time where you learned it for the first time. Okay, so maybe take some of the content that you see on these channels and introduce it to somebody else who may not be exactly where you are yet. So anyway, that's all I have. Just a little bit of an evening rant from here at the History Underground.